Praise the Lord, everybody. The Championship is back. Real football is back. None of that international nonsense. We are also back. Welcome to the Championship Lowdown. I'm Elliott. This is Ollie.
Hello there, everyone.
We've got a full rack of games to get through, starting on Friday, but we're actually going to start on the Sunday because there is a big game down on the South Coast. Southampton versus Portsmouth. There's no lack of malice between these two. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen this derby, and it's one I always quite enjoy. So, what do you think's going to happen here in Southampton?
Yeah, it's a blood and guts one, this one, isn't it? A South Coast derby. There's no love lost between these two. I know a couple of Pompey fans, actually, who, there's just some real... you don't really want to use the word hatred there, but it seems like there's a hatred between these two. Southampton, mixed sort of start to the season, haven't they, really? It's, win, 2 draws, loss, but I think they've shown some quality in parts. Portsmouth have looked similar, really, I suppose. They play some really good football, don't they? And obviously, that signing on deadline day from Ipswich, forget his name. He was with him before. Yeah, thank you. Cracking signing for them. And then, but, Pompey, relatively solid at the back. I mean, not scoring a great deal of goals, but they do play some decent stuff. I just think it's a game for the fans, this one. And it's all about that bragging rights in it on that South Coast. The atmosphere down there is going to be absolutely volatile. It's going to be hectic. It's going to be loud. Early goal, either way, he's going to sway it to the other side. I just think, realistically, Southampton's strength in depth, and they've still got a lot of Premier League quality in that team. I mean, you would expect Southampton to get the win there, but on Derby Day, you can never really tell. What do you make of this one?
As a viewer, I just wish it was at Fratton Park. The first one. Like, I know obviously later in the season we'll get that. I wanted it today. We've had the international break. I feel I'm starving for some football. I wanted it at Fratton Park because it would have been raucous in there. I mean, it's going to be anyway, but the other way around, I think it would have been more insane because Southampton are expected to win. And I think we said before the international break, like these teams, Southampton, Ipswich, we're expecting them to come back from the international break better because all of that all the transfer window stuff where you don't know who's going to be there. Ipswich squad is now settled. They've had a week. Like that now this is where we're expecting Ipswich and Southampton to really show up. And I wanted their first game to be away at Portsmouth. I think that would have been an amazing watch. But having a game like this straight after the international break is an act of God, I think. I don't know what to expect. And to be honest, I'm not really that bothered. I'm just excited to watch it. Like it's just Southampton, I think, might be the best team in the division. I expected it to be Ipswich before the ball was kicked. They've not impressed me. Obviously, they have a completely different team next week. But Southampton, I think, have been more impressive. It's between them and Cov for me at the moment as the team I'm sort of expecting to be the front runner. But Portsmouth have been very impressive. And as you say, they will be so fired up for this game. And Portsmouth have had some really good results.
Does Chaplin go straight into the starting? Does he go straight into the starting lineup for Pompey?
Yeah, I think so. Having had the international break to sort of get him ready, I think he goes straight in. And I'm just I don't even know what to predict. I'm just looking forward to it. I'm hoping.
Are we predicting? Are we going to predict? I'm gonna stick my neck on the line and say Southampton edge it 2-1.
I'm gonna say score draw 2-2. I like the look of Portsmouth.
Yeah,
I think they'll get some goals. As somebody who sort of delusionally hopes my team is going to finish in the top 2 this season, I'd like to see Southampton lose. It would give us more of a chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
As I mentioned them not long ago, we'll move on to Coventry, who are at home to Norwich, which is a tough game, but it is a home game, which is. Again, coming back off this international break, you just want a home game. I know I was gutted to find out we were away this week. I really just wanted a home game. It's been so long. You get one. It's a winnable game, but it's a difficult one.
Yeah.
What do you
I
think?
mean, I Norwich have been hit and miss, haven't they? You know, they've won two, lost two. Still kind of finding the rhythm a little bit, really. There are a couple of losses in terms of players, big losses, you'd say. But you know, they're having a couple of issues at the back, attacking relatively well, to be fair. But I just think Coventry's attack, man, it's just absolutely staggeringly good, isn't it? I mean, like I said, there's only been one game they've not scored, and that was us.
Yeah.
How? How? I mean, we are just wide open, but will come to us. And they've scored 14 goals in 4 games, which is just mind blowing, considering that one of them they didn't score any. So it's 14 in 3.
Yeah.
And then it's not as if they're just scoring, is it? They're actually creating chances for fun, and they look like they're going to score more and more and more. There's got to be goals in this game. Surely there's got to be goals in this game. You would expect Norwich to come out there. They're going to try and get some rhythm in their performances. For me, it's going to be a goal fest. Coventry, the way that they bomb forward and create chances, they're not going to not score in this game, especially the way that Norwich have been defending. You know what's going to happen now. It'll be 0-0. It'll be a boring game, and that's the Championship all over. I've actually gone Coventry to win this 3-2.
I was going to say 3-1. I think I know you just said like, oh, it'd be typical if this was a 0-0. This will not be a 0-0. It won't be a 0-0. I'm willing to go on record and say this game will not be 0-0.
This is going to be the short for the podcast this week. You realise that?
Yeah, I don't care. Putting my neck on the line, it won't be 0-0. It's a pretty safe bet. I mean, there's a lot of results it could be. It's quite likely it's not going to be 0-0.
I can't see it.
No, I mean, Coventry score goals. Norwich, they look like they want to score and they want to concede. Like they're quite fun to watch because they're neither like super tight at the back, but they're quite adventurous going forwards. If it were at Carrow Road, I'd be a little bit more optimistic for Norwich's chances. But yeah, Coventry 3-1. I think on this one, this is. It looks like a really difficult game on paper, but yeah, Coventry looks so strong. It's really hard to bet against them. We'll move on to 2 teams who, and it sounds ridiculous to say it this early in the season, but really quite need a win. Ipswich versus Sheffield United. Both teams not at the start they would have wanted or expected, and probably need 3 points sooner rather than later.
Who needs this win the most? I mean, like we everybody said at the start of the season, we all expected Ipswich to be top 2. Everybody said it. They probably still will be, given how long we've got left. We're 4 games in, but they've not started as you'd have expected them to start. 3 draws and a loss so far. Then they're still kind of sort of trying to find their feet back in the Championship after being relegated last season. Sheffield United. I mean, what on earth is going on there? I mean, I sound like a broken record. Every single week I'm saying the same thing. It's like they're not just not winning. They're not creating chances. They don't look like scoring goals. They look completely toothless in attack, and they're just struggling to create anything, really. I mean, surely Sellers is on it. They're biding his time on Sellers. I cannot believe they took a punt on him in the first place, let alone he's lasted 4 games without winning. Surely you can't see past Ipswich actually clicking at some point. Like, I'll reiterate what I said last week again and say it again. I can't see them not winning this game, especially at Portman Road after the international break, having a little bit more time to gel together and get them systems working. Sheffield United, all right, they've had the same time, but they're in disarray. I just think Ipswich have got to start living up to that pre-season favourites tag at some point. Feels like a real good opportunity for them to get their first win of the season against Sheffield United, who just are really, really poor at the moment. Another week, another disaster class for me, for Sheffield United. I think a 3-0, 3-1 Ipswich.
To answer your question about who needs the win the most, it's Sheffield Wednesday need an Ipswich win the most.
Yeah, they do.
To keep lording over the fact that they're above Sheffield United in the league. I don't think Sheffield United are quite as bad as you do. They've not been good. Well, I'll go on record again. Sheffield United have not been good, but I don't think they're completely horrendous. They've had a little bit of bad fortune, a little bit of terrible play, um, but I think they will. Even if they keep Sellers, they'll start picking up some results at some point. I don't think it's going to be here though. I think this will be. I think it will be a 2-0 Ipswich. I don't think it will be a blowout. So I think
No.
Ipswich. I think it might be a little nervy. I think we might not see a goal until the second half, and once they get one, it will sort of calm the place down, and they'll get a second late on. That's kind of how I see it going. Um, I think because both teams have not had the start they want, it's going to be a little nervous.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little cagey. I think it might. I don't think this will be a particularly open game. But I think
No,
Ipswich's quality will show through.
they've got to start clicking at some point. Ipswich. I mean, even after that transfer window, they've got some cracking players in that team for a championship team. There's no reason why they shouldn't be up there. And it's like I say, it's going to be. Surely it's a matter of time before they click and actually do blow somebody away. Sheffield United are in prime position for that this weekend, so we'll see what happens.
They're in a perfect spot. They're in the splash zone. We'll move on to Stoke versus my beloved Birmingham City. Two teams who are up in the top half of the table, which is something neither of them have been able to say for a long, long time. Rare optimism for both teams at the moment. How do you see this one going?
I think it's a really tough one to call this. I was looking at the predictions earlier and sorry, the fixtures earlier to predict the results this weekend, and this one I thought was the toughest one to call. Stoke have started well, better than what many of us thought, really. And I know I've had some stick for calling out Stoke earlier in the season, but they've proved me well and truly wrong. 3 wins have so far. Started the season very, very well. Birmingham probably look like they've started it a little bit more inconsistently, but they've had some terrible luck in that. I think it's got the makings of a really tight, cagey game, this one. Stoke at home, I think they're going to be slight favourites. The defensive discipline could be the key in getting a result here, but Birmingham look really exciting going forward. And when they click, they're going to be hard to stop. Obviously,
do you know how many times Blues fans said that last year and it didn't click for a long, long time?
Yeah, I mean, they're looking good though. They're good to watch, aren't they? But obviously, Stoke are going to make it really hard for them, and they're winning games, and they're proving that they can find a way to win as well. So obviously, leaving it late in a couple of games that we've seen so far this season, they've only conceded a few goals. Is it 3 goals they've conceded so far this season? It's not many. Stoke looks strong. What's your take on this one? Notice how I didn't predict it before I asked you your take.
Yeah, I think very clever. I think I do agree with you that it will be cagey because we are a team who like to control more than we don't like open games. Chris Davis is big on control. We're despite the fact that we average sort of 64% possession in League One, we're still the way we play is based so much on what we do without the ball, which is it's a full pitch press, and we are when we're on it, we are very difficult to play against. You saw, I mean, Leicester scored early on against us, which sort of ruined it. But after that, they struggled to get out of the half for about 20 minutes. So we can be really oppressive. I just worry about us away from home against a team of Stoke's quality. We're just not as good away from home as we are at home. But we have players coming in now after the international break. We've got players who coming back from fitness. Marvin Dukes, who we haven't really seen much of yet, who I'm very, very excited to watch. A guy with an incredible pedigree at a higher level than this. Patrick Roberts, who got promoted last season as a bit of a mainstay in the Sunderland team, coming straight in. Kanya Fujimoto, who's completely gone under the radar, but somebody I'm very excited to watch. I don't even know who's going to start for us this week. It's really difficult to pick a team.
Is Stansfield back or?
They're being a bit coy on it. Apparently he is. Apparently he's back in training. But even if he's not, we've got Dukes and Kyogo and Damari Gray off the left. We have talent, like we have depth. It's
pace
just
as
a
well.
case of,
You know, yeah.
yeah, we were quite a slow team last season. This season we're quick.
Yeah.
I say if we were at home, I'd be predicting us to win. Away from home, I'm going to say 1-1. I
I've
really don't know.
predicted 2-1 Stoke, but a draw would not surprise me at all. Likewise, a Birmingham win wouldn't surprise me at all, depending on how these teams line up against each other. There's a real chance that if Stoke do sort of do their thing and sit back and try and contain Birmingham, and the Birmingham do score, could get a little bit more open. But Stoke just don't concede many goals. That's the concern for me for Birmingham.
I'm telling you, if we go 1-0 up, it will not be open. It will be miserable. If we go 1-0 up away from home, it will be a miserable.
That's what you
game to
want,
watch.
though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's exactly what I want. But it won't be a great game to watch. We are once we get a lead, we just try and pass the ball round the back to death. Which is why we didn't blow many teams away in League One, because we're very content to sit on 1 and 2-0 leads.
If you can grind them out, though, you can grind them out. It could be a good way of doing it against Stoke.
We got 111 points last year doing it,
Yeah.
so it does work.
A lot of experience in there.
We will move on to your beloved Hull, who are this week taking a trip to Wales and playing Swansea. We need the resident Swansea fan for this one, because I don't know how good Swansea are. Do you have any idea?
Not really. I mean, I referred to them as boring last week. I'm going to stick with it really, because they've got 7 points this season, but I mean they don't score many goals. They've conceded a few, but they're about 7th or 8th in the league. I think is it something like that?
7th, yeah.
7th. Not really sure why or how, but that's the Championship for you, isn't it? I mean, they're looking defensively all right. They conceded 2 goals. They're obviously that's great. That's fantastic. But you would expect a team who's conceding 2 goals to be, from maybe a little bit higher up the league, maybe. But they just don't look that good going forward. They scored 4. Is it 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most entertaining or exciting of football teams to watch, is it? But it could be. I mean, Swansea are notoriously, renowned for playing decent, attacking, sort of fluid football. But if this is the way they're going to go about it this season and be boring, but maybe take a tilt at the playoffs, I'm sure they'll be delighted with that at the end of the season. Us. I don't even know where to start with us, man. It's like we started that game against Bristol City. And we scored within 3 minutes, and that was our undoing. It was like we'll score, we'll wake them up, and they blew us away after that. We had a couple of chances, sort of just before half time and just after half time, where if we'd have taken those chances, we might have had a chance of changing the game slightly. But mate, it was like it was a write off, another write off. We just look so open at the back, and that's a real concern for me. We look like we're going to score goals, but we need to take those chances, especially against a side who aren't conceding many. I don't know whether this is just me being slightly biased, but I think we might get a result this weekend. We need to take the chances. We need to get Geldarts running in behind. We need to get McBurney on the end of crosses in. Giles needs to up his game a little bit more. He's been poor last couple of weeks. I'm not sure whether Coyle will come back after his injury, but a couple of new signings as well. But defensively, for me, that's what's the real concern. And Semi Ajayi is still not back, surprisingly. Charlie Hughes ain't going to do it on his own. We've brought in that big lad from Leeds who's going to be giving us some steel in the middle. Crooks will be back this week, I would have hoped. But score draw, 1-1, 2-2. That's at best. I can't see us winning.
I have to say it's very, very brave to call a team boring just before talking about how defensively open you are, knowing there's a really good chance they stick 2 or 3 past you this week. Very, very brave. Yeah, I mean, I sort of Swansea. I just don't have a read on them. I feel like I've got a read on most teams and what they do, what they can do, how good they are. Swansea, I really struggle with. Like I say, their results have been pretty solid. They've only conceded twice, but there's something I'm just not quite convinced about them, which might just be, It might just be a problem on my end, but there's just something about them where I'm just not convinced they're a top 10 team yet. But that said, this is the sort of game they should be winning.
Yeah,
Like, there's no easy games in the Championship, but if there was, Hull at home is one of
you
the ones you're
target it,
looking
wouldn't
at
you?
and thinking we
Yeah.
could win. Yeah, you're thinking, okay, I'm pretty happy with this one. Um, so when you look at it like that, like, yeah, if they win this, they're on 10 points after 5 games. 2 points a game is playoff form.
It's a good start. It is a good start for them.
It's a really good start
It's like
if they win this weekend.
look at our defence. I mean, we've conceded 9. So, and outside of that, there's only sort of Derby, Sheff Wednesday, QPR who have conceded more. Sheff Wednesday have conceded the same, which is a real concern, isn't it? When we were looking at trying to get away from that bottom 3, and we're conceding the same amount as a team who's been tipped by literally everyone to go down. We've conceded the same amount of goals as them. It's how we line up. If we line up and we did and we play like we did against Bristol City, it'll be another similar scoreline, regardless of how boring Swansea are.
That's straight from the horse's mouth. Not accuse us of being biased because you're biased for them and you still think you're going to lose. We'll move on to we just mentioned Derby and all the goals they're conceding. They play against an in-form West Bromwich Albion at the Hawthorns. This one's a slam dunk, right?
It's got to be, hasn't it? Got to be. I mean,
Derby 3-0.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise you, would it? Championship result all over. West Brom.
It would surprise me. It would surprise me.
Yeah, we look back in a few weeks' time, it'll be like, oh yeah, Derby beat West Brom 3-0 away from home. Yeah, of course they did. But I mean, arguably, West Brom should have won all 4 games so far. They've had 3 wins and a draw so far. Ryan Mason will be delighted, won't he? They're looking well balanced. They look solid at the back and they're dangerous going forward. What more could you want? Derby, just said about conceding goals. 11 they've conceded this season, which obviously it's too many for a team to be looking at anywhere near sort of mid-table playoffs. It's too many so far in 4 games, 11 goals. Their attack's looking all right, though, isn't it? They've scored some goals as well, but they got 7 or 8 goals so far this season. So it's not a massive problem scoring goals, but breaking West Brom down is going to be hard.
Yeah.
Not many teams go to the Hawthorns and come away with anything. Even a goal generally. You just got to think that West Brom at home, they're going to be relentless, aren't they? You'd think can't see Derby containing this West Brom side.
Yeah, of all the games on my list of games to talk about this week, this was the one where I'm like, yeah, no, this is a home banker. I mean, there's a couple of them you're like, yeah, okay, it's probably like Ipswich, Sheffield United. I'm like, yeah, it's an Ipswich win, but I'm less confident. I struggle to see a way in which Derby win this game. West Brom have been electric so far, and yes, okay, you can talk about the fact that Derby have scored some goals. They're not going to score. They got 3
against Coventry.
Yeah, they're not going to do the same to West Brom. Coventry, that game was sort of some sort of divine intervention. I don't know what was going on in that game. It was insane. There's a blip. That was a glitch in the matrix. Coventry's games are just mad. Like, that's not a representation of how good Derby are. And it's also not a representation, I don't think, of how bad their defense is. From what I gather, since the first couple of games where he was really poor, Sanderson's actually got a lot better for Derby, and he's actually been quite solid in the last 2 games. So maybe they're sort of starting to close the gate a little bit, and that's great, but they're not going to beat West Brom.
Not here. No, not for me.
It's a 2-0 West Brom win, I think.
I've gone 2-0.
Win.
I've gone 2-0 as well.
Yeah, all in agreement on that one. We'll move on to a game that's a little bit more in flux, which is Wrexham at home to QPR. And having said that, right now, I think this is also a simple one to predict as a home win. Am I mad?
Do you know, it's a strange one, QPR, isn't it? Because obviously they had that whitewash. Well, not whitewash. Yeah. Obviously they scored, but 7-1 defeat to Coventry. It's like, but they have been a bit of a mixed bag aside from that. they had a decent win over Charlton last week to come back away from that 7-1 defeat. So the best sort of response, isn't it, to just put it behind you, a decent, solid win at home, and put 3 past the Charlton side, who we've discussed, who are good at the back. And, they're a strange one to call as well, aren't they, QPR, aside from that 7-1. I think Wrexham's sort of fairy tale rise has had a bit of a bump in the Championship, hasn't it? There's a bit of a crash back down to earth a little bit, obviously, apart from last weekend when they got that surprise win at Millwall, when obviously we discussed how
Yeah.
going to Millwall is probably the hardest place to go to in the Championship. It's one that you don't want when you're trying to get a win, and they bloody won there. So
Yeah.
they've shown that they can battle hard. They've got that win. I think this weekend back at home, they'll be looking to secure first back-to-back wins of the season. I think they'll probably get it this weekend, in all fairness. I've gone Wrexham 2-0. Wouldn't surprise me if QPR get a goal.
I'm in a similar boat where, like I say, we talked extensively last week. Like, we know this is like not a great start for Wrexham, and they're going away to Millwall. This is and they won quite comfortably. Like they
look very good, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'm all right. I'm listening. I'm my ears peaked up. I'm like, yeah, okay, fair enough. That is a statement win. Like Millwall away is always a big win. And Wrexham at home as well. They famously very, very difficult to beat at home. They're just a horrible team to play at home because it's such an enclosed space. You feel really claustrophobic in there, and it's loud, and it's like they're going to be fired up.
They just don't stop, do they? I mean, it's
game.
like you say, that them fans behind them as well. They just don't know when they beat. It's like we've seen it a couple of times this season where they look like they're going to lose. I look back specifically to the EFL Cup game against us where we blew them away, genuinely blew them away, and then they scored 2 goals in the last sort of 5 minutes and took us to penalties and beat us. They just don't know when they're beaten, and that's a sign of a team who can really dig in and cause some teams problems. I think, like you say, anybody going down to Wales this season is going to be in for a tough game.
Yeah, I QPR big win last week, but they're squishy, and Wrexham feed on weakness. They're so horrible to play against at home, I promise you. Like, we had to do it last season. It's not fun. It's not a fun place to go. They're coming off the back of a pretty exciting like deadline day as well, and like end of the transfer window. Feelings good. They've just come off the back of a win. I think this is a Wrexham, like, honestly, like 3-0. I think the vibes are just so good. Like, they're gonna score early and they're gonna score late. It's just gonna be like a perfect day for Wrexham. I feel.
There we go.
Hopefully I'm cursing it, but that's just how I foresee it. I think QPR are just a bit too squishy.
A soft underbelly.
Yeah, just a little. We'll move on once again to a game entirely located in the north, which is Preston versus Middlesbrough. Which, now I'm looking at it, I'm not quite sure why I put this quite so low on the docket. This is quite a big game at the top end of the table.
It is really. I mean, Preston have started, and surprisingly have started very well. I mean, we'll obviously talk about them first. They've got 2 wins, a draw and a loss. They've been solid. We know how hard-working Preston are, especially at Deepdale. Like, it's another place where it's a tough place to go to. It's not a very nice place to go to. We all know that.
Are you talking about Preston or Deepdale?
Well, I'm not a big. I've only ever been to Preston a couple of times, and it was solely for Deepdale.
So... I've never been, by the way. I just thought I'd stir the pot. Middlesbrough, I've been to, and don't recommend it.
Smogland, yeah. No, I know. I say. Borough are flying, aren't they? They've started exactly how they'd wanted to start, and I don't think. I mean, they might have predicted how well they started the season, but 4 games in, 4 wins, 7 goals scored, 1 conceded. Pretty good form, that, isn't it? It's like you can't really ask for more than that.
Yeah. You literally can't ask for more than 12 points from 4 games. You literally cannot ask for more.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Obviously, just lost Finn Azaz to Southampton, who could be a big loss for them. But yeah, I think they'll carry on. The starters are meant to go on. I think they get another result here. I think they're looking like a well-oiled machine under Rob Edwards down there, and I think it's going to be a test for him, Preston. But the confidence is sky high. I think they'll come away with a win here.
That's I mean, this is a tough one to call. I'm glad this is at Deepdale because that does throw a little wrench in it because Preston have been, as you say, very impressive start of the season. Obviously, lost just before the international break, but I don't think that takes away from the fact that they're on 7 points, which is more than most of us expected. And they got some big wins in there, but coming up against the only team who've won every game, who've conceded 1 goal. I mean, Preston, for all of their, for all these big results, they've scored 4 in 4, which is, not bad. But this is a team who've conceded 1 in 4. You look at, this is a team who don't concede, and you're a team that's not the most free flowing going forward. It's not easy, but Borough will also be looking at this game going, this is not easy. This is not.
Yeah.
I think both teams would probably be quite happy with a point because for Preston, it's like you come up against a team top of the league who are expecting to be in the top 6. You get a point, you're quite happy. Borough, you think, team have started well, you're away from home, take a point and run.
That's it.
Even though you've won 4.
And Preston have already shown they can beat big teams at home, haven't they? Obviously beaten Leicester, they've beaten Ipswich at Deepdale this season. So it is going to be a tough ask for Middlesbrough, but they just seem to be like you said, they just seem to be playing like a machine at the moment.
Yeah. I think if any team wins it, it's Middlesbrough, but I foresee a 1-1, I think.
I've gone 2-0.
Ooh. Very interesting. Okay, that's putting your neck on the line a little bit there. We'll go to a game that's big at the bottom of the table, potentially at the top end of the table. Currently, yes, but we don't know how Leicester are going to... what's going to happen to Leicester. But that's Oxford at home to Leicester, who I must say weren't all that impressive against us. Neither team were, actually, but Leicester I was expecting a bit more from. But...
yeah. Scored some cracking goals, but
they have.
Oxford look poor for me. I think, aside from probably, I'm going to chuck us in the mix there. We look terrible at the back. Derby don't look very good. Obviously, Sheffield United have looked poor, but they're not going to be down there all season. Surely, I just think Oxford they don't look very good. I think this weekend's going to be another tough game for them. They're still looking for the first win of the season. They've got 1 draw, 3 defeats so far. In the drop zone on merit, can you call it merit? Why are they there?
Whatever the opposite of merit.
Whatever the opposite of merit is, demerit. They've just not been able to convert the chances, have they? Now they're facing one of the promotion favourites here, and they've started relatively well. They've won 3 out of the first 4. You'd expect, they've been efficient. Like you said, weren't massively impressive against Birmingham, but ground it out, scored some cracking goals. That young kid on the wing is just some player. He's just wow, what a player he is. And if they can free him up again, Oxford are going to struggle because I thought that when they came to our place, they looked wide open. So when they're coming up against somebody with his talents, I just can't see their back line holding up this weekend. I think it's a straightforward Leicester win.
Yeah, pretty much. I think Oxford, I was surprised at how much football they played and even more surprised at how poor they were at it when we played them. I thought they would be more direct. I thought they would be more difficult to play against. And actually they were quite easy to play against and not as direct as perhaps they should have been. Even though they're at home and I don't think Leicester are that good, I think Oxford might be that poor. I think it's a sort of boring 2-3-0 win for Leicester.
Yeah, 2-0 I've gone as well,
Yeah, I feel like I'm saying 2-0 a lot, so I thought I'd throw in a 3 just in case. But now, 2 more teams who are a little bit harder to get a read on, especially Watford, who are at home to Blackburn, who I don't know what to make of Blackburn. I thought they'd be poor. They're on 3 points, which isn't great, but they still somehow been a little better than I thought, which sounds really strange. But I thought they were decent against us. Watford are an eternal enigma. 5 goals, 5 conceded, 5 points. Shrug your shoulders
Yeah.
and go, okay.
Whoa, a massive thunderstorm just kicked
Ooh,
off out here.
wow.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, they're quite loud.
Yeah, it is. The heavens have just opened. Mad.
Somebody's
Anyway,
not happy that we're talking about Watford.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I'd say it's Elton John saying he's great, but he's still with us. They're both middle of the pack, aren't they? These. I mean, obviously, you said about Blackburn having 3 points. That 3 points came away at Hull City, surprisingly.
Yeah,
You know,
but they were decent. They played
they
well, and they were okay
very,
against
very
us.
well. Yeah, very well. And then I think you said they managed to concede from their own corner against you, was it?
Yeah, like they should have got a point against us.
Yeah.
They had a corner in the last minute, and they not even like it doesn't even like they hit the first man. They hit the man who was covering a short corner. Like it was,
Yeah, I mean...
and it was Damari Gray, who's not particularly tall either. It was poor.
Where do we go with this one? It'd be real easy for us to sit on the fence and say draw, wouldn't it? And just say, Watford drawn the last 2 games, Blackburn coming off a loss. Both sides have shown they can score goals, but both are conceding. It's got draw written all over it, hasn't it? Surely it's going to be a draw.
I think I'm going to put my neck on the line, and I'm going to say Blackburn are going to win this one.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Like I say, I was convinced they were terrible, but that sort of the way they beat Hull was like, okay, that they can put away teams who aren't on their A game, and I think Watford they've been decent, but there's something about them where I'm just not convinced with Watford. You're sort of watching me like, are you actually good? Are you? Is this repeatable? Is this something you're going to do the rest of the season? You just sort of think, no, like the Iran Kunda, the player they signed in the summer, scored like a beauty of a free kick, and it's like it's great, but how often is he going to do that? I don't know what it is. I just got a feeling that Blackburn they're gonna go to Watford and do them. I'm not really sure why.
Do you know, interestingly, we mentioned Elton John beforehand, and apparently this weekend Watford are wearing an Elton John inspired kit to celebrate their 50 years since he became chairman. So there you go. That's going to happen this weekend. So that might be quite exciting. I think aside from that, that's probably the most exciting thing that's going to happen at Vicarage Road this weekend. I am going to stick with a 1-1 draw.
It might be the most exciting thing that happens there all season. No, I'm joking, but I think they will sort of finish in that sort of like the soup, like the middle soup between sort of 18th and 12th. I think that's where I foresee them, and that's the sort of game when you're a mid-table team, you just sort of randomly lose to Blackburn sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? But let's see who's still standing after this weekend.
If I knew any Elton John songs, I'd join in. Charlton versus Millwall is our penultimate game here. And I feel bad for putting Charlton really low down again. But I'm just not excited to watch Charlton versus Millwall. I really do apologise.
I tend to agree with this. It's a South London derby, though, so it could be a little bit of excitement down there. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's not to do with the football.
No, I know. I know. Yes, true enough. Yeah. Another game where I think it's a real tough one to call. Obviously, Charlton losing last week, Millwall losing last week unexpectedly. It's like they both sort of started inconsistently. Really, Charlton will probably be slightly happier. They've shown they're hard to break down, but they don't score goals. And you don't win football matches if you don't score goals, and it's going to be a battle, this one down there. Should be a fierce atmosphere down at the Valley, with it being a South London derby. Be a tight game, probably a scrappy game, like you've already alluded to. Probably not a very exciting game. Do we go with a, I don't know, 1-1 again? Maybe.
So I sort of just while you were talking, I was sort of interested because I saw Charlton had scored 2 goals, and sort of my feeling was that was, they're actually just not creating anything. And I looked, and the expected goals is actually a bit higher than I thought. It's at 4.5, and they've got one of the best defensive numbers in the league of 3 point.
Yeah,
Only conceded 3.4. Only Birmingham, Middlesbrough, and Swansea have conceded fewer expected goals, which actually is better than I thought it would be. I say that when I've caught glimpses of Charlton, they've looked a little bit powder puff, but actually they seem to be creating a little bit more than I was expecting. That said, it's still not high. They're sort of creating enough to score 1 a game rather than 0.5 a game, which they're currently on. And Millwall, even though we talked them up last week and they let us down, they are tough to play against. I think this is going to be an attritional game, 1-0 either way. I think probably
yeah.
Millwall.
Yeah, I've gone 1-1, but attritional's the right word. I think this is definitely going to be an attritional battle. It's not going to be a pretty game. This.
No, it's not. It's Charlton games at the end of last season. Actually, they did play some nice stuff, but for a lot of last season, they weren't the prettiest team to watch. Millwall, I don't think have ever been pretty to watch. Not to be horrible. I think they take some pride in that, to be honest. So
100%.
So I don't. Unfortunately, that doesn't get you very high on our list of games to talk about, but it does make you quite a formidable team to play against. Speaking of being low,
they've got the chant though, haven't they? The no one likes us, we don't care. So fair play to them.
Which is like one of the most childish chants in football,
apart from mould.
Again, yeah, but that's funny. Speaking of being low down on the list, I do once again apologise to any Sheffield Wednesday fans listening. You are once again last. It's not entirely your fault. You're playing Bristol City at home, who have started better than we all imagined. But I'm not super high on Bristol. I don't expect much of Sheffield Wednesday this season, as we've always alluded to. They've been better again. Both teams have actually been better than I thought, but it's a Bristol win, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Chef Wednesday, they're playing with character and enthusiasm. That can only get you so far in football matches, can't they? They've got no squad. There's just nothing there. How can they compete? It's not right. We're not going to go into the politics of it. Everybody knows what's going on there. It's not right. But let's talk about the football side of it. They're looking for the first win of the season. They're probably going to be looking for the first win in the season for a while yet. The second from bottom, unbelievably, ahead of Sheffield United. So they'll take that. It just shows how easy the defence is to get to. Like I say, they've conceded 9 goals. They've scored 3. You're not winning games. Bristol City have had a decent start, probably better than what we thought. They blew us away last week, but I would imagine a lot of teams who click at home are going to do that. Their attack's good. They score goals on the fly. They look pretty good going forward. I think Scott Twine's been fantastic for them so far this season. And they'll be confident of going to Hillsborough and getting the win, and they probably will put a bit more misery onto Sheff Wednesday. And like you say, I hope that Sheff Wednesday fans will hope that Sheffield United lose again.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely Sheffield Wednesday pull away from Sheffield United by virtue of winning many more. So they'll be supporting Ipswich as much as they're supporting Sheffield Wednesday this week, just for bragging right reasons more than anything else. Yeah, it's really hard to analyse any Sheffield Wednesday game beyond the fact of it's really sad. They're probably not going to win. Sorry. Bristol 2-1.
Well, I'm going to go with your score. I'm going to go 2-0.
Yeah, it's just Bristol. I do think will concede some goals this year. I'm not convinced by them defensively, and Sheffield Wednesday are plucky going forwards. So
yeah, I mean, we showed that you can score against them. We got 2 against them, and maybe could have had more if we'd have shown a little bit more guile and sort of composure in front of goal. But like you said, they do look like they might concede goals, but they're certainly not going to concede that many this weekend against the Sheffield Wednesday side who don't score. It's absolutely horrible out there.
Yeah. Well, we've got no more games to talk about, so we'll end this before your computer, gets
Blows
zapped and
up.
you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will see you all next week. We hope all your teams win, even though that's obviously impossible. But we wish you all the best, unless you're a Stoke fan. Not because I hate Stoke, just because you're playing my beloved Birmingham City and Swansea. We'll see you all next week. Have a good one.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.